So we all know Aang is a pacifist. This is made clear throughout the entire show. He doesn't really pick fights, avoid and evade. That is the Airbender philosophy.
This fight alone just proves he's not a pacifist. A pacifist will not fight you regardless of the situation. Let me say that again just in case people were not listening. A pacifist is someone who will not fight or do any violence regardless of the situation. They could see a 3-year-old child being beaten to death. They will not do any violence to the perpetrator, to the aggressor. They won't, because they are a pacifist. They could see children being raped, murdered, all of it, and they will sit there and say, don't do it. They will not act on it, because that is what pacifists do. Aang is not a pacifist. He has no problems fighting. He has no problems going out of his way to fight, and he actually has, on multiple occasions, actually was the one to start the fight and start the whole situation. Keep in mind, even if you're a character who does not want to fight, but you have no problem fighting, you are not a pacifist if you do any violence whatsoever. People have to stop using the word pacifism if they don't know what it means. No hate to the original creator, but I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say this before people in the community start understanding Aang is not a pacifist.
I do have to correct you on something there. Your definition of pacifism is correct, but it leaves out some details. Let me explain. There are different types of pacifism, but for the purposes of this video, we will be focusing on two: absolute pacifism and conditional pacifism. What you were describing in that video is called an absolute pacifist. This is the kind of person who is completely against any type of violence, no matter what it is. They will never lift a finger to do any harm. I think Thorfinn from Vinland Saga ends up becoming this type of pacifist actually. Absolute pacifists will not fight back or fight you at all. You can take lives, do harm, and do any heinous things you desire to them or anyone around them, and the most they will ever do is just talk. That is not who Aang is. What Aang is a conditional pacifist. These pacifists are opposed to all violence as well, but they will use the necessary amount of force required to solve a dire situation under certain conditions. That's where the name conditional comes from. They will never take lives either, because this is a complete extreme and goes against their ways of life. As Aang said himself to Avatar Yang Chen, all life is sacred. And so for him, taking a life is not something he can consciously do, and it's not something he will ever consider. So you aren't entirely correct that Aang isn't a pacifist. He is a pacifist. I just failed to mention which type he was, and that is completely on me for being misleading. Aang is not an absolute pacifist, but he is a conditional pacifist. He will only cause the necessary amount of violence, and there are only a few extreme scenarios that will push him that far, like losing Appa for example. That was Aang's breaking point. By the way, for anyone about to bring up Aang's violent actions in the Avatar state, that was not Aang himself. If you watch the show, you would know by now. It's the other avatars who were in control in those times, since Aang had no control. I like to think it's because they just wanted to protect Aang from others and possibly from himself. Oh, and lastly, a quick thank you to this person for tagging me in this video. God, I really need to start paying attention to my TikTok notifications. This video was made somewhere in the middle of December and I completely missed it, so thank you to this guy for tagging me.